Hello there, it's Elliot here. I hope you're doing well today. This video is going to be about the HMV Premium Collection line of Blu-rays. And the reason I'm making this video now is because a sale has just begun over at HMV, both in store and on their website. The promotion in question is 2 for £15, and that is a great deal for a lot of the films that are included in this collection. So I thought I would just present 10 of my favourites to you for your consideration during the sale. It's worth noting at this point that HMV do not ship overseas from their website, so these are only going to be available to people within the UK. I guess if you're outside the UK you could use a shipping forwarding service, but that would be quite expensive. Or if you've got a family member or a friend in the UK, I'm sure they'd be happy to send you some of these. Also worth noting is that all of these discs are region B as far as I'm aware, although HMV do not print the region code on the packaging, which is really strange, so I can't actually say for sure that they're region B, but just bear that in mind. Let's just get onto the Blu-rays. So the first one that I'm going to be recommending to you, that's in my top 10, will be no surprise to anyone who's a fan of the channel. This is Barry Lyndon from Stanley Kubrick. So you may have heard me talk about this film a few times before. It's my favourite film of all time. It's a massive part of my cinematic history. It's one that I've said before, took me a few times watching to actually get into and become my favourite film of all time. It's a 3-hour-long costume period drama which instantly puts 99% of people off. But you've got to remember, this is Stanley Kubrick and this was meticulously made down to every single frame, and it shows. It looks absolutely incredible. The film's often talked about because it's revolutionary in terms of its cinematography and lighting. It used mostly natural lighting, a lot of candles and sunlight. They adapted a lens that was used by NASA primarily to shoot stars in deep space so that they could capture all of this natural light. And the film looks incredible. So many of the frames in this film look like a painting, genuinely. Like I said, it's 3 hours long, but that time absolutely flies by. It's a really witty film, very funny, but also tragic in parts as well. Brilliant performances from everyone and an absolutely amazing soundtrack. So I can't recommend the film itself enough. If you're not familiar with the Premium Collection, they all come in these slipcases, which are rather nice, though they print the ratings logo on the spine and on the front and on the back, which is completely pointless. So that annoys me. But inside you get just a clear case with the film itself. So you got the slipcase here, and then inside the case there are always art cards, and this even has a fold-out poster as well. So there's always some extra bits inside the cases that help set these apart from a typical Blu-ray release. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, on the slipcase, all of them are spine numbered and they say the year that it was released. So this says 1975 and this is spine number 90. Now I think they're up to about 150 spine numbers in this collection, so it is a sizable one. They churn out typically 2, 3, 4 a month. So there's a lot to get hold of if you want to collect all the spine numbers, so bear that in mind. I will note that this version of Barry Lyndon is not the same as the Criterion Blu-ray. That is superior to my eye and it has better special features as well. But if you want a cheap introduction to Barry Lyndon, if you've heard me talk about it a lot and you want to see what the fuss is about, for £7.50 in the sale, this is a pretty good bargain. So I would recommend everyone to give this one a go. This next one is a quick and easy recommendation. It is Jason and the Argonauts, and this is a classic Ray Harryhausen stop motion special effects masterpiece. This is a classic Sunday morning movie. It's just full of adventure. A lot of the acting is really ropey, like really hammy. Some of the special effects in this are so good, so pioneering as well. Like if you're not familiar with Harryhausen, he's a master, and so many modern animators look back to him as the master of the craft. It's a classic sword and sandals movie with mythology in there. It's just a great romp, a lot of fun. The spine number for this one is 15, so this was one of their early releases. And inside you do get the art cards like with all of these. So again, a pretty great price to get this just enjoyable, fun film. Speaking of fun, enjoyable Sunday morning movies, I have The Adventures of Robin Hood, and this is a stone cold classic film. If you've not seen this, it's Errol Flynn as Robin Hood, running around in tights, saving the world. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of fun in this film. Olivia de Havilland is beautiful as well. And the colours, the Technicolor on this is stunning for the time. I mean, this came out in 1938, so it looks absolutely incredible. The spine number for this one is number 12, so this is an early one, and it does have the art cards in there as well. It's worth noting a lot of these premium collection titles that we have here in the UK are ports of the US Warner Archive discs. So you'll find that a lot of the titles in this collection are available in the US under the Warner Archive label, and the discs are exactly the same. There is a few exceptions where the discs have been changed and some have even been improved, but for the whole majority of it, they're pretty much the same discs. So if you're outside of the UK, that is an option as well. If you're enjoying this video about the Premium Collection Blu-rays, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It would mean so much to me, and you would get access to all of my videos about Blu-ray collecting and the Criterion Collection, etc. Anyway, back to the Premium Collection video. Next up, I've got Point Blank starring Lee Marvin. This is such a wonderful film with so much style that borrows a lot from the French New Wave, the Czech New Wave, and the British New Wave that was going on in the 60s. This came out in 1967, and this is a thriller like pretty much nothing that came before it in America. I can't think of many other touchstones in the genre to point to that relate to this. It's so one of a kind in my mind, and I absolutely love this film. It's directed by John Boorman as well, who I think is an incredible director. It's just very sad that a few films later on totally tanked his career. But this is an incredible film, and this is spine number 37 in the Premium Collection. You get the extra cards inside, as always. I'll stop saying that now. But it's a brilliant film, and for £7.50, totally recommended. Another film in my top 10 Premium Collection titles is Mrs. Miniver, directed by William Wyler. I watched this very recently and was absolutely blown away. Like, I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd. I thought it was amazing, and I think this is, I don't want to say an underrated gem in William Wyler's career, because it did win Best Picture at the Oscars at the time. There are a lot of other films that he made that get talked about a lot more than this, and I think this is an absolutely incredible World War II family melodrama. The cast are brilliant in this. Greer Garson, Walter Pidgeon. I love this film so much. It blew me away, and it brought me to tears at the end. It was so powerful. So I think this is one of the best war films from the time. I'm just going to go and say it. It is an underrated Best Picture winner. I imagine some of you probably haven't heard of it, so it would make a great blind buy. And this is spine number 88 in the Premium Collection. So that is Mrs. Miniver. Okay, next up, this is a classic film. Everyone knows this. It's Casablanca. What can I say about this? Tremendous film, one of the best classic Hollywood stories I can immediately think of. I always come back to this film as a brilliant script, very well directed by Michael Curtiz. I absolutely love this film, and it's a classic for a reason. This is spine number 48 in the Premium Collection, and interestingly, this is the only Premium Collection title that comes with a booklet. So there is this Casablanca fold out booklet thing, which is great, and I believe this is because this was emulating one of the Casablanca releases in the US, and before this release there was a UK Blu-ray of Casablanca. This is better than that. This is from a new restoration, I believe, a new transfer. So if you've got the old disc of Casablanca and you love that film, this is one well worth getting just for the upgrade. There's an absolute ton of special features on this disc. I'm not going to go into them here. This is such a great package for £7.50 if you love Casablanca. And if you've not seen Casablanca, what are you doing with yourself? It's a brilliant film. So that's spy number 48. I'd also like to recommend Jeremiah Johnson, directed by Sidney Pollack, starring Robert Redford. This is one of those classic 70s films that I love so much. It was from 1972. It's what I'd call a revisionist Western, because it's not a classic Western by any means. It's a man in the wilderness alone. I absolutely love it. This is also notable in today's popular culture because there's a very iconic meme of Robert Redford in this film nodding to the camera that is used by everyone. So that's one way to tie it into the youth today. And there's a commentary on this as well that I absolutely love. So this is spy number 28, Jeremiah Johnson. Keeping with the Western theme, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, directed by Robert Altman. This is one of my favourite films of all time. And I know you probably think I say that about a lot of films, but no, this really is. And Robert Altman is top 5 directors for me. I love so many of his films. This is a great chance to get this film because before this was released a year or two ago, it was previously unavailable on Blu-ray in the UK. And I know there is a Criterion disc of McCabe and Mrs. Miller, which I do not own. I believe that is a better version than this, but do not quote me on that. This is still a fine version and it's got an audio commentary. It's spy number 58 from 1971. And I should mention, this is probably one of the best looking modern westerns. It's shot by Vilmos Zsigmond, who is one of the absolute genius directors of photography of all time. So I love it for that. It's got that Altman sensibility. Julie Christie is beautiful as ever. So one of my favourite films. I can't recommend this enough. This next one is an underrated classic from a classic director. It is The Wrong Man from Alfred Hitchcock. I genuinely believe this is top tier Hitchcock, and I'm surprised it does not get talked about more than it does. Maybe it's because it's not as sensational as Psycho and Vertigo, because they really do appeal to all the senses. But in terms of suspense, this maybe Hitchcock's most suspenseful film. As suggested by the title, it's about a man who is wrongly imprisoned for crimes committed by a lookalike. And I love this for its psychological nature. I mentioned the suspense, some of the absolute amazing looking shots from Hitchcock in this film. Henry Fonda is sublime in this performance. He's the kind of guy that you always root for in a film, except Once Upon a Time in the West, of course. But before that film, he was pretty much always the good guy that you could root for. And this film, it's no different. And I love this film so much. It's spy number 66 from 1956. So The Wrong Man, underrated Hitchcock. And I think it's worth seeing if you love any Hitchcock film. The last film I want to mention in this list is by no means the least. It's White Heat, directed by Raoul Walsh, starring James Cagney. And what an incredible film. This is one of the best crime films ever made. James Cagney plays this gangster who is completely psychologically unhinged. And he's really good at crime. That's the thing. He's the head of this small gang, essentially. But he's really good at what he does. But he's completely crazy. And you just see it spiral throughout this film. And it's brilliant filmmaking from Raoul Walsh, one of the best directors of the time. So I cannot recommend this enough. If you love a good crime gangster film, this is for you. It's spy number 34 from 1949. So yeah, one of my favourite films for sure. So that about does it. These were the 10 titles that I recommended to you. Like I mentioned, there are over 100 titles in this range, so I'm sure there are so many more great films that you could buy in this sale. If you're a collector of the Premium Collection, I would love to hear from you in the comments what some of your favourites are. And if you're partaking in this sale, do let me know what you're going to buy, because I would love to hear that. Okay, that about does this video. Thank you very much for joining me for this video. If you want to stick around on the channel for more recommendations from me, just click whatever video is going to be suggested on the screen right now, and I'm sure you can find some good stuff in those videos. I'll be back with more videos like this one very soon, but until then, stay well and keep watching great movies.